An intense controversy has developed between law enforcement and the powerful team of lawyers and experts assembled from around the country by lead defense attorney Jose Baez. The controversy concerns the team's access to this crime scene and their exclusion from the autopsy performed by the local medical examiner before the child's remains and other evidence was sent to the FBI lab up in Quantico, Virginia for DNA and other testing. Here's the rub. After authorities announced that the remains were consistent with Kaylee Anthony in size, in age, even in hair color, they later claimed that no identification had been made, and that because there was no identification, the defense had no right of access. Although supported by the judge, that position does not sit well with defense experts Dr. Werner Spitz and Kathy Reichs.
I have never encountered a situation where I was excluded from another forensic pathologist doing an autopsy. I wouldn't be doing anything. I would be staying there and watching, but I would be watching science, and science cannot be changed. Why cannot I be allowed the same privilege as the state or the county medical examiner? I think that's horrendous. I think that has never happened. It should not happen.
I don't often appear as a defense witness or a defense expert. This is only the second time in my career. But I've never encountered a situation where we met with such resistance to allowing experts in that aren't the prosecution experts.
Frustrating is it for you to be so close to the scene of the discovery of the remains of this child and not be given access to it?
Well, our main concern is being able to see it in the same condition they saw it in. And I think what everyone's seeing right now is a lot of dirt being moved around and a lot of critical evidence being moved. And fortunately for them, they're in a situation where they can block it away from everyone. So what's being done over there, no one knows, and no one will ever know. So that was our biggest problem. We wanted to be able to observe, not interfere, just observe. That, of course, wasn't being able. We weren't able to work that out, and we'll see what they leave us with.
When you, Linda, in court raised the point that they were being disingenuous, don't you believe that they know, or at least strongly suspect, that the remains are those of the missing toddler?
Sure, Geraldo. You saw the amount of FBI agents and all that have been here. There are a lot of obviously missing children found dead every day. You don't see FBI agents in the crime scene analysis in the amount, unless they believe these are the remains of little Kaylee Anthony.
And the fact that you are denied access to the scene?
Well, you know, it's a sad state for science that they felt that they had to be secret enough in their, quote, investigation that they couldn't let the representatives of both the mother, who still is the mother of this child, have access just to watch what is being done to her daughter, not for the purpose of interfering, but for the purpose, because our client is presumed innocent, and we believe she is innocent, of having the best defense in this regard, and it shouldn't have any effect whether we watch or not. They should be doing the same things whether we watch or not. They should open it up to you if we allowed it.
Before I get to Dr. Henry Lee, Jose, what do you think the motive is?
I don't want to accuse anyone of anything, but what we would disagree with would be if they were using their investigative powers and authority to obstruct justice in the courtroom.
You know, one other thing Jose and I did speak about yesterday, and this is all really from Jose, the prosecution got up in court and said, well, it's terrible to have the remains of somebody unknown, have strangers there. But, you know, we turn on the TV set on Discovery Channel, we believe it is, and we see Dr. G, who is the medical examiner, filming a TV show in what appears to be the morgue. I don't know if it's a made-up morgue or the real morgue, with alleged remains there. And if those are remains of other people, and that is a real TV show and a reality show with real people, then it is even more disingenuous. They would deny a situation like us, who just want to have the best experts in the world come in and watch.
Dr. Lee, you've been up against seemingly insurmountable odds before, but you must admit that in this case it certainly appears as if the accused has done something terrible.
Well, as a scientist, we only look at the physical evidence. I don't take any side. The legal issue, I don't you haven't got involved. Ideally, we have the first-hand observation, not to interfere, just to observe. Once the scene altered, it's very difficult to reconstruct.
What would you believe they are examining that little body to find right now?
Well, it's pretty easy. Any type of death, you should treat like a homicide. So you find a body remain, definite identification of the individual, the manner of the death, cause of the death, any means and fact relate to the death, you should pursue.
Where does it go from here, Jose?
Well, it goes to the science, and that's why we have put together a team that's second to none, and the science isn't going to lie. So we just want the ability for that science not to get compromised, and the opportunity to see everything. Full disclosure is really the best way to the truth.
Linda, are you sure you want to be involved in a case with the defendant as widely reviled, as unpopular as Casey Anthony?
You know, there are about 220 wrongful convictions that we know in the United States, many death penalty convictions. I'm involved in one right now in Tennessee that's been overturned by the U.S. Supreme Court. In every single one of those cases, the defendant was reviled. And guess what? In every one of those cases, everybody who created what would be the modern-day lynch mobs were wrong. And you have to be careful it doesn't happen in this case or any case.
When do you think, Jose, you will be officially notified that the remains are indeed that of Kaylee Marie Anthony?
Well, they're not giving us any indication right now. For some reason or another, they don't want to disclose their preliminary or presumptive results. Right now, it's anyone's guess.
What should be happening is that the authorities there are creating an issue that shouldn't be created. As Dr. Spitz said, I've never gone over 40 years to an autopsy and been refused to go into an autopsy. That it's always better to have all the forensic pathologists there at the beginning to see how the body is, how the wounds are, whether, remember, the autopsy itself causes certain injuries to the body. So by looking at the body together, Werner Spitz is the dean of forensic pathologists in this country. He's written the major textbook about forensic pathology. And I think it's bizarre that he wouldn't be allowed in to see and discuss, if the medical examiner wishes it, the findings so that there are no disagreements that come up afterwards on the autopsy.
Particularly, the prosecutor should have bent over backwards to make sure the defense team and all the forensic experts were allowed access to this autopsy. The fact that they didn't, I think, only hinders the case and can be problematic in the courtroom. It can be brought up to say that there was things that weren't done, that things weren't done properly, and you don't want that in this kind of case. Secondly, I would have made sure, and I've done this in my cases, to videotape the autopsy so there were no questions raised as to the propriety of what went on.